Thanks a lot. There we got a little glimpse there of the retro ride. That was the 1960s parade and 4th of July. You were not in that one.
No, that was before my time. I was trying to reach a higher level of awareness at the University of Wisconsin in the 60s.
You went to university.
If I can get a master's degree, son, it ain't that hard.
What did you?
I bragged to be that I was an overeducated alcoholic for many years.
So wait a minute now. Before we go on, I have to say, for everybody, this is probably one of our premier guests we've ever had on the show. This is Roudy Roudebush. He is the Telluride cowboy, or just one of the cowboys that's still around.
Well, again, I did not reach the appellation of Telluride's drunkest cowboy without a lot of competition. But I have pretty much, run the rest of them off.
When did you come here?
I arrived on my dad's birthday, June 22nd, in 1970, and I pulled past the courthouse and said to myself, boy, welcome home.
Really?
I drove down the street seeing not one car, not one person moving, did a U-turn at Town Park, and somehow I knew to park diagonally in front of the Sheridan Bar. Mm-hmm. And for the second time, when the door was opened that morning, I said, welcome home.
And that was back before, like, the sidewalks even, right?
Well, there was a sidewalk.
Was there a sidewalk?
Not as wide as it is
But you
now.
could park sort of
There'd be
diagonal.
no room for people to sit out in the diesel fumes and have food.
That's today.
Yeah.
And so,
I love a marketing scheme.
Speaking of it, did you look? Was this you in 1971?
I come back in style, every 8 or 9 years, and so I just wait. But I like this experience, particularly this shirt. When I worked with the Marlboro people back in the day, the old wrangler for Marlboro, Darrell Winfield, rest your soul, Darrell, thank you for all your help. He said, I'll tell you one thing, Rowdy. He said, you always want to wear a red shirt. He said, you got 12 cowboys riding across the pasture. The one in the red shirt's going to get the easy money. And son, life's about getting a little easy money once in a while. And how true that's been.
How true
so
it's
for
been.
These events, we wear a red
This
shirt.
is and then this is you. This is you on a daily. So if I see you in the bank or I see it, do we have a suit on ever or anything like that?
I used to be called upon to appear before the 7th Judicial District, for political crimes, really, drunken Irishmen.
Okay. Your own or other people?
Well, usually I was, overserved.
Okay.
I wasn't really drunk. I was overserved. But appearing before them, the saying became popular in Telluride, if you saw someone in a tie before the courthouse, boy, you're at Rowdy, he cleans up good. So it's appropriate. I still go by the courthouse. I think it's Thursdays now and go to someone in a suit and tie. Will the defendant please rise?
So who was Rowdy as a kid, and where were you? Were you in Wisconsin?
I was raised. Started out. I studiously do not say grew up because we don't have to. And I grew up Southwest Wisconsin, Richland County, dairy farm.
Okay.
Where I would ask my father as a grade school, Daddy, why do we have to get up at 4 a.m. to milk these cows? And he would say, so you'll be done in time to get to school early.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't like milking cows, you better start studying. And so, but a wonderful way to be raised. The skills I learned there have served me far better than the education system at the University of Wisconsin.
What did you study at Wisconsin?
Oh, teachers. I just took teachers.
Okay.
And ended up with, I was there a long time. There was a war on.
Okay.
And I felt it was my duty. There were a lot of lonely sorority girls, but I felt obligated to do my part.
Okay, I understand, yeah.
I went to 9 physicals. I was not properly respectful to a little old lady at the draft board. You're too young. They used to make you go.
Yeah, they make you go,
and kill people.
Yeah.
When you're 18 years old in our great country.
Yeah.
For sordid wages.
Yeah, well, I think that they've recycled that model.
They've toned down,
they
the Fourth Estate.
You had to go.
I didn't.
So how did you get it? So how did you get out of it?
I ended up actually deaf in my right ear from it being in a car wreck. That a piece of glass was blocking my ear channel. But I went and I had a cut Achilles tendon.
Yeah.
But I went to 9 physicals, and even though I was always, they kept changing the rules,
Wow.
how much your deferment was worth, and then they finally had the lottery, and it's still on my Shakespeare book, 354. So I was right all the time, is my point. So often I'm right and think I'm wrong.
Yeah, I understand. Nobody's got to check you. So when you roll into Telluride, you're a cowboy? I mean, would you consider yourself a cowboy from a youngin'?
I was horse crazy.
You're horse
as
crazy.
a child.
Okay.
And my grandpa always kept draft horses. So anything, my brand is Lazy R, and I always wanted to be lazy, but dairy farms in Wisconsin and Irish Catholic Democrat families, you ain't allowed to be lazy.
Yeah, sure.
And thus resentment builds up over decades.
Sure, yeah. That's Irish Catholics.
Yeah. I understand it now. Of course, once you get in therapy, you'll find out that self-pity leads to resentment.
Yes.
Who knew?
And so you let's jump forward. You roll up into Telluride. Are you planning? Do you have a horse in tow? Are you planning on getting involved in something around here?
Oh no!
How'd you get here?
We were looking for a place. Well, I had a friend who was a conscientious objector. I guess I should start when in 1964, instead of going to Fort Lauderdale for spring break after a very cold winter, I followed a pretty hippie chick to Aspen.
Okay.
And the rest is history.
There you go. That's how everybody got to the mountains.
I kind of learned how to act and be a ski bum, and the lifestyle. I was entranced. And then we found Telluride in '70 where there were openings. See, drunk cowboys. There were plenty of them in Aspen.
Openings for drunk cowboys.
Yeah, there was an opening for these jobs, and so just that first 15 years. My quote recently was, "We were free and unfettered human beings, released in paradise without adult supervision." And God, we had fun.
Well, I mean, you've built a pretty solid base here. I mean, I know it's changed a lot. Yeah, I know.
And
but
you wouldn't have believed we'd have pulled it off. We didn't have our shirts on.
No, we didn't have. You didn't have anything fancy like this. You're just wearing your red.
We were worried about how we were going to get money to buy lunch tomorrow.
Sure.
And as the bartender at
where
the Sheridan
where
Bar,
would you buy lunch in the '70s?
Well, the Iron Ladle. You went there for pancakes in the morning.
Okay.
The Floridora was.
Floridora.
I mean, it was the S&S Cafe, but it quickly turned with old Howie Stearns and Florrie, who has not changed.
Yes.
In 40 years or
That's right.
5 years since I met her.
That's right.
This place is timeless for you pretty girls. Tan Jan was running along the bike path as I came out here.
Tan Jan.
You Tan Jan? Big, tall, long-legged girl. Been tan. It hasn't changed a bit in 40 years. I'm saying I think a lot of us are going to live forever.
Well, so let's talk now about the way you live in modern Telluride. You live in a way that it seems not as modern. You're Rowdy. You're Ride with Rowdy. We can look you up. We can go ride with you, right?
Oh yeah. Again, the new marketing is pretty girls, return customers, and newlyweds. I'm 71 on the 24th.
71.
Day before yesterday.
Do you feel 71?
I feel like I'm 18 still. Isn't that a funny thing?
You don't look 71.
Just talking about that in my head, I told one of my old Jewish girlfriends at a party recently that perhaps my Jewish friends should start considering that I might be the Messiah. Maybe, I'm not going to die or anything. Just go on.
Well, you can't part the seas, but you can part the doors of the Sheridan on a horse. You are one of the only people.
After 3 p.m., it's no longer appropriate to be drunk in the morning.
Okay. So was this as part of your old, and we'll get to this too, because you are not drunk anymore, but you're coffeeed up. And you, what possesses you to ride a horse into the bar?
So there I was. All good hunting stories and old time stories go. So there we were. In Spanish, allá nos estábamos, I think it is. But there we were, and I was sitting in the back of the Sheridan Bar, and on a bet, my cowboy hero Roger Miller, who became a famous cowboy artist. Again, rest your soul, Roger. Thank you. And a rude little Texan, whose name is escaping me right now, known him for 40 years. But anyway, on a $10 bet, they bet they could ride this 3-year-old unridden horse into the bar by 3 p.m. 3 o'clock, through the door they come, both of them drunk. and on this horse, and I said to myself, I ain't ever leaving here. And I didn't leave the bar for several years. But then I'd start venturing out. And but so many times things happened those first couple, 3 years, and you'd go, I ain't ever leaving this place. You know, this is such a special, unspoiled in so many ways place where, you know, that real world outside our pink bubble, you know, is you know, it's pretty simple to go out there and grab some money and come back.
Sure. And so
where living here is a struggle often.
I agree with you. I agree with all these things you're saying, and I think that one of the things that's harder is like young people today who sort of rolling into the 1971. But what are some of the things that you're recognizing in terms of like it's still a bubble or it's still not the real world? And you are right. I mean, I think like for a lot of us, it still is a sort of a struggle from day to day, but it's a small community in that way.
Oh yes, and you know, not people don't. That gives us better clientele. It's not easy to get here. All the little factors that have kept us from becoming Vail and Aspen, you don't hear that much anymore.
Yeah,
you used to hear it a lot.
Yeah,
and but there's somehow, you know, it's a mystery kind of. But there's a core feeling that the mountains and this place on our planet kind of, you know, help us be better people. You know, I just am more understanding. We're of the difficulties of life, but that's what I used to say when people would be whining at the bar. I was the bartender at the Sheridan for 10, 11 years. How are we going to get money for lunch tomorrow? My line that I got when I was a kid was, why don't you clean out the old barn and put on a show? So they did that, and the first one was bluegrass. No need to thank me, you know, for Craig Ferguson, bless his heart.
Yeah.
And but that's what, you know, we were trying to survive, and that was so much like the old miners that were still here.
Yeah.
Of so many different races, creeds, colors, who did not leave here despite the difficulty because it's here.
So
and that core is still, I think, I feel it.
I think that's right. It's a surprising thing because we can see a lot of money out there and those kind of. So speaking of some of the folks who come in and who are vacationing and things like this, when they come up to see you, you've been working with horses all your life. Okay, so how do you get somebody? Are these people that have never been on a horse before and have never been to like Colorado? Like
pretty largely.
Okay.
And so
what are you doing to get them ready?
Well, see, like, you try to get them there on time. Early, late, up, down, black, white, right, wrong, war, peace. Repeat, the nuns would say at this juncture, repeat the verities of life, you see.
Yes.
Veritas. You do have a firm basis in Latin, I hope.
Yeah. Well,
it's essential to the well-educated young man.
Yeah, we'll get into I mean, you don't get a shirt like this without knowing Latin. Or like this.
At least you don't have a bow tie on. Bless your heart, because it ain't court day.
So...
Court day is Thursday.
Do you meet other cowboys? Do you still have cowboy friends who are still doing stuff like this?
But they, of course, the cowboys say, God, the real cowboys ride four-wheelers and wear ball caps.
Okay.
And it's largely unknown that the largest industry in San Miguel County is raising animals for slaughter.
Okay.
You know. And so, but in the early 70s, I was a surveyor's goon and the tenant bartender, old Roger Mankey, rest his soul, and I were doing uranium claims and stuff, a lot of uranium out west. So I discovered the west end of the county, out in Paradox, and discovered the cowboys who you think hippies are wild. In those days, I mean, it was a lot of fun, and they took me under their wing, and I knew enough to not embarrass myself around horses, and so I was their hippie. And God, we had a lot of fun. And so I early discovered the west end of the county and that culture, which is a lot like southwest Wisconsin. Narrow-minded old Republicans take good care of their land and their family. They ain't the Republicans I got a problem with.
Gotcha.
And one of my proudest achievements when Mr. Obama, my black Irish cousin, When he got in at the last election, we had a visiting state senator at the 4-H auction, and one of the neighbors said, "Senator, I'd like you to meet Roudy Roudebush, our neighbor." He turned to the bleachers full of the old families there in Norwood, you know, with the grandmas holding the kids and stuff, and said, "Our Democrat friend." Words that were once mutually exclusive at that venue. And
they still may be
well,
today.
This is a proud moment in my life. That's an achievement, see. And but I've always teased them, and when I buy their child, grandchild, or great-grandchild's hog at the 4-H auction, that I'm just a poor Democrat. I had to save up, you know. I'm too proud to take welfare. And so after teasing them for 30 years, it's become part of the show.
Yeah.
So clean out the old barn, put on a show, is my motto.
Clean out the old barn and put on a show. And I think that we've done that here for you today. If we see you on the street, shall we come up and say hi?
Just don't look at me like I'm the one that's poorly dressed, you know. If you
Okay.
have, you know, people with no pants and sandals.
Yeah.
You know, and black socks.
It's not a
They kind of peek at me like I'm the one that's dressed funny.
Yeah, listen, this is dressed up here, folks. Roudy Roudebush, thank you so much for coming on, sir.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, and I'll catch you around town and everything like that.
Cool.
Okay.